All right, now we're here. You see little kids are running. They're running. They're ready to hear what I got to say, I think, already. Here comes another one. It's going to run right by us, but here we are. You can't check it out. Boys and Girls Club, right? Take my man right here. What's your name, buddy? What's your name? Chris. Chris? You ready to hear some good words tonight? What you think you're going to hear? Playful. It's a playful place, right? You have fun when you're here? All right, buddy. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes. That's what we're going to do. We're going to see if we can't pump them up, inspire them. That's me, buddy. Come on. You want to come in the commercial we're doing right now? You want to come in with me? Come on, sit right here. What's your name?
Christopher Toots.
Christopher Toots. What you ready to hear some good information today?
Yes, sir.
You know that information changes situations, right? You get more information, you start changing your perspective on things, right?
Yes, sir.
We get ready to fire them up. So, Candace, let's walk right in here to the Boys and Girls Club and do it. Right? Louie, Herron.
Okay. I think it's pretty good. I like to walk around, so I hope that's why I asked you to move there, because I don't want to jerk this thing out. But normally when I come in and do stuff like this, I've got speakers and all kind of stuff, so I didn't really know what to expect in the environment. So I've got my note cards. I've got a couple of quick points. Don't want to bore you. I got a quick, exciting speech, or I got a long, dull, and boring speech. Which one y'all want? A quick and exciting one, right? Okay, that's what we're going to hit. What I want to do is I just want to take a moment to thank the Boys and Girls Club. I really, a lot of people ask me all the time, why do you spend so much time talking in the community? Well, it's just like I was sharing with you earlier. I think there's 2 great days in a man's life. And kids, you listen to this. There's 2 great days. The day you're born and the day you know why you're born. Okay, I think it's a special day because when you figure it out, okay, you can start to take off. And I wouldn't put on this earth to sell cars. There's a lot more in life. I think it's important to do that. So being here with you guys is special. I mean, I hope if the young people would just listen, I'll make it as quick as I can. I got a couple of points that I think will help you and contribute to your success as you're coming up. Because Lord knows I've had a lot of struggles, and I can get into the whole story. And some things people, they see the glory that Louie Herron owns a car dealership, but they don't know the story. And behind everybody's successes, there is a story. Okay? So just by a show of hands, just so I have an idea, how many in here by a show of hands has ever heard me speak? Man, I thought I was a little more popular than that. That's it? Okay, all right. Well, I just want to ask that because my story can be lengthy, but I don't want to make it long. But I want to tell you, very important to realize the only difference between you and Oprah Winfrey and LeBron James and Bill Gates and all these guys, you know, we all have one thing in common. I don't know if everybody knows what that is. We got one thing in common, and that's we all share the same 24 hours of the day. Okay, we all share it. In fact, you need to keep track of your days. I've been living 14,313 days. See, a lot of people say when you get old, they say, well, I'm 72 years old, I'm 65 years old, I'm 39 years old. But when you start to count off your days, you start to realize how precious each day is. And then when you break it down further, I just wrote down, I've been living 345,512 hours. So think about this for a minute. If I slept half of my hours, that would take away 171,000 hours. That leaves me with 128,817 hours. You take away Facebook, you take away the games, watching TV, that only leaves you with 9 hours a day. So check this out. So if you go to school for 8 hours a day, or you go to work for 8 hours a day, how many hours that leaves to be successful? If you're down to 9. You got 1 hour. So time, I think, is more precious than money. So again, I think it's very important. Time is more precious than money because you don't get the time back. So the first thing I want to talk about to you real quick, the very first point I want to tell you, especially to the young people, is remember this: you matter. you count. Okay, and I don't know how many of you look at this book. Y'all familiar with this book? Y'all know what that is? All right, now I'm not going to preach at you, okay? But I will tell you something. You need to pick up this book. In Ephesians 2:10, it says in this book that you are a masterpiece. You're perfect. Everyone in here is perfect, just the way you are. And everyone in here has gifts and traits and things about you that nobody can do it like you do it. Okay, so all you young people realize you count. You matter. You affect the outcome. All right, in everything you do. And if you let all your friends and your peers and everybody else tell you you don't count and you don't matter, it won't take long before you start believing it. Let me tell you be more specific what I'm saying. What you say is what you see. I don't know if y'all caught that. Let me say it again. What you say is what you see. So I want you to think about the conversation that you have by yourself in front of that mirror, what you say to yourself. Because whatever you say is what you see about yourself. And some of you, the way you talk to yourself, if you had a best friend that talked to you the way you talk to yourself, you wouldn't have very long, right? We don't say nice things to ourselves. As we get older, we start to say, oh, look at me. I don't look good. I don't play well. I don't run fast. I don't jump far. All right, but it's very, very important, young people, to realize that you matter. Very, very, very important. Okay, you're designed to do something specific. The next thing I want to share with you, I think is very, very important, is that you have what it takes. Okay, you have what it takes. Everybody in this room has what it takes to succeed. Check this out. It's kind of like a credit card. Y'all are, the young kids don't know, but adults, mom and dad, y'all track with me here for a minute. You know when you get a credit card on the outside, it's got a 1-800 number on it, right? What do they want you to do? They want you to activate the card, right? You activate the card. Well, is the money already on the card? The money's on the card. You just got to do what? You got to activate the card, right? So you call the 1-800 number. Well, every person in here is the same exact way. Within every single one of you, the money's already there. The success is already there. All you got to do is activate it. That's all you got to do. All right? So everything that you devour, you consume, you read, everything you do, every friend you hang out with is going to affect that outcome. Okay? And remember what I told you. What you see is what you say. So you got to focus on what you're saying to yourself. Okay, I also want to bring a very important point. The third point I want to bring to you is your environment. It's a big one now. Y'all track with me. Your environment does not dictate your success. Now, some of you may hear that and be like, well, hold on, Louie. You don't know where I live. Well, hold on. Y'all don't know where I came from. All right, so your environment does not determine your success. Now, the conversation and you selling yourself on where you're at may put you where you don't want to be, but your environment does not dictate your success. All right? It's just circumstance. And again, going back to the good book, it says in James that when troubles come your way, count it all joy. And the key word there is when troubles come your way. When. Not if, not maybe. It says when. That tells me that troubles are coming, right? Right, so you got to know how to handle these circumstances, these environments. Very, very important. Let me give you an example, all right? And just to prove my point. Let's say I had a 15-foot fence right here. At the top of the fence was some barbed wire. And I told you, you had 30 seconds to get over this 15-foot fence, get to the other side, and when you got to the other side, you got a reward. I hit the stopwatch, and you went for it. And you got halfway up, you got to the barbed wire, and you go, ooh, I don't want to get cut, and then you came back down. I said, okay. Well, let's just change the circumstance. Now, we're going to do the same thing. This time, I'm going to tie a rope with a piece of meat behind you in a pit bull. Okay? Now I say go and give you 30 seconds. Chances are pretty good you may get over there, right? But here's the key you got to understand. What changed? Did the fence get any higher? No. Did the time change, or was the time still 30 seconds? It still stayed the same, right? So again, it's just circumstance. It's just a conversation that you have with yourself, okay? I think it's very, very important that you see that and concentrate on what you say, because what you say, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. Everything you say is what you see. And you can't tell yourself that, young people. You can't tell yourself what you're not. You got to focus on what you are. Because if you go back to what I said, you're a masterpiece. You're perfect. Just the way you are. The last thing in closing, I just want to say this. As you come up through your life, and again, I didn't get into my story, but just briefly, growing up in Miami, Florida, I was adopted. And my biological father left when I was 2 or 3 years old, and I had a new dad that was my stepdad. All right, my stepdad, we lived in Miami, Florida. My dad was Puerto Rican, my mom was Italian, and my stepdad was from Alabama. So needless to say, it was a little different. We grew up in Miami, Florida, where, as y'all probably would imagine, it's culturally diverse. A lot of different people around South Florida, okay? Beautiful place. But my dad was a physical man. My mom was on drugs. She was an alcoholic. My dad was a workaholic. My dad was never there. That's my environment. Now, I can blame that environment, right? There's a cool story where a man was interviewed. Two young sons were interviewed. One was a bum on the street. The other guy was the CEO of the company. And they interviewed both of the boys. And the interviewer said, so let me ask you a question. What do you think was the biggest thing that made you who you are today? Both of them had the same answer. With a dad like mine, there was no other way I could have turned out. They both had the same dad. All right, so you take your circumstance, your environment, and make it what it is. I left the house when I was 18 years old, played football in Virginia. I was all by myself as an 18-year-old. Ended up dropping out of college. Should have never done that, but I dropped out of college because I thought I was going to play football in the NFL. That didn't work out. Next thing you know, I'm in Villa Rica, Georgia, near Douglasville, Alabama, and I'm loading trucks at Lowe's, shipping and receiving dock. 20 years old, going, man, I'm going nowhere fast. But I knew in my mind, I didn't want to go back home. I knew in my mind that my dad said, I told you so. I told you, son. I told you, son. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. I couldn't live with that, so I stayed. And I kept loading those trucks. Then I took on another job, waiting tables. Met a guy in the car business. That guy invited me into the car business. And from there, I took the same principles that I'm sharing with you and things that I learned in college playing football and got into the car business and realized I could succeed at this. I realized I was a masterpiece. I didn't have to believe everything that everybody said about me. So here's what I want to tell you in closing. It's the bamboo tree. If you ever watch National Geographic, they talk about the bamboo tree. The bamboo tree is a small little nut, and this little nut gets planted in the ground. It's got to be watered and fertilized for 5 years straight. Can't miss a day. If you miss a day, it's done. Okay? After 5 years, it grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. So how long did it take it to grow 90 feet? 6 weeks or 5 years? That's right, y'all are smart. 5 years. So here's what I want to tell all the young people. When you're told to do the right thing, do your homework, be on time, and you keep watering it, and you keep doing the drills in your sports activities, you keep watering it, and you don't see the success that you want to get, and somebody plays in front of you, or some other boyfriend, some other boy gets the girl, and the girl doesn't get the boy, and you keep watering the tree, and you keep growing and growing and growing. You can't look for it overnight. It may take 5 years, 10 years, but you keep watering it, you're going to sprout 90 feet in 6 weeks. All right? So y'all don't forget that. I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Thank you very much.